acting as your Sergeant at Arms, and it is my pleasure to introduce our President, Will Byrne.
Whoa!
Thank you, Vera. And welcome each and every one of you, members and guests, back to Golden Speakers Toastmasters. The mission of Golden Speakers Toastmasters and every Toastmasters club is to provide a mutually supportive learning environment in which each member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster personal development and self-confidence. And now I will move this over to our Toastmaster, Mongol.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening, fellow Toastmaster, guests, and viewer at the home. My role as a Toastmaster is to run the meeting smoothly. We meet every Tuesday evening in this location. We're watching, the location is in Fairfield, First United Methodist Church in the basement. We start on time 7:45 p.m. and we'll be ending on time 9:15. During that time, a lot of things going to happen here. Some motivation, some laugh, some energy. To run meeting on time, so I'm going to introduce our role player. By the way, the theme of the tonight meeting is a season, and I love this season. I like it cold, it's hot, okay, but you know, I don't like a freezing cold or like boiling in hot. This weather, you can slightly take on your jacket on, or you can have your light sock. We don't love it. I guess everyone. And this is my favorite season of the year, whether I'm in America or in Mount Everest. So let me start introducing our role player for the tonight. Our counter is Jesus Rios.
Yo!
I will explain my role as an accounter. My job is to count every filler words that is speak by the speaker, such as like, and, you know, so, but, repeats, tongue clicks, and anything on that line. At the end, I will give a report of everybody's filler words. Thank you.
Our journal evaluator is Cindy Trainer. We'll be giving her report later on. And our grammarian is Darlene Martin.
Yo!
So my role as the grammarian is to choose the word of the day, and the word that I have chosen is autumn. And it's a noun. The definition is one of the 4 temperate seasons. Autumn marks the transition from summer into winter. In a sentence, the beautiful red and orange leaves on the tree were a sign that autumn had arrived. I will also be listening to language used by members during the meeting, making note of any exceptionally good or bad uses of the language in English. I'll give a brief report at the end of the meeting about what I've heard and seen, and I'm also going to be listening for people who use the word of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Darling. That reminds me the autumn season back in Nepal, where you can see apple orchard just below the rain shadow valley. The 3-layer you can see there. I wish I was there, but I'll be enjoying a lot here tonight. Next role is we'll have a ballot counter. John will be helping, and also important role is a timer is Will Burn.
Thank you, Mangal. So my role as the timer is to keep the time for the meeting and make sure that we keep within the constraints of our time allotted. For table topics, I will illuminate the green light at 1 minute, yellow at 1:30, and the red at 2 minutes. For evaluations, 2 minutes, 2:30, and 3. And then for the prepared speeches, we have the first 9 minutes, 10, and 11, and 5, 6, and 7 for the second. Finally, all speakers have a 30-second grace period at the end. So if the red light is on, you have 30 seconds until you're disqualified. And for table topics, you must speak for at least 1 minute to qualify. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. That's our role player for tonight. In addition, moreover, we have other role that also the audience who are here, they can participate, even they don't have a role. We have a different section of meeting. First section, we are going to move on table topic. After that, we'll have a prepared speeches and evaluation section, and also we'll have a report on. So right now, I would like to move to table topic. And at this point, please help me to welcome our table topic master, Vera Elizabeth.
Hello, thank you.
Good chance to win it.
I'll say. Table topic master, thank you. Welcome guests, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. Ribbons all over the place. So today is autumn, and I'm going to have something on autumn. Let's go with 5 subjects. Who would like to come up and do something on autumn off the cuff? All right, Art. Hello.
Hello.
So pick a number from 1 to 5, and I'll
1.
come up with something. Tell us about a time in autumn that really stood out to you in your life.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, how many of you as kids jumped into piles of leaves that were bigger than you were?
No!
How many remember how good that smelled? How many remember jumping into a pile of leaves that wasn't quite big enough and hitting something hard? Right. Been there, done that. In Seattle, I lived on Queen Anne Hill. I wasn't even yet in kindergarten, and I got lots of opportunities to jump into big piles of leaves that somebody else was raking up. I don't know if I disturbed them very much, but that memory sticks in my mind, so I was probably less than 3 years old at the time. If I do the calculations, I can tell how old I was. The next best memory I have of piles of leaves and that wonderful smell, in 1970, a friend of mine asked me to drive his U-Haul truck to upstate New York, where he had taken a job in a small town as the new pastor of a Methodist church. And we were coming from Houston, Texas. And you don't get piles of leaves to jump in there. So he drove his car, he and his wife drove their car, and I trailed them with the U-Haul truck full of their possessions. I was fancy-free, footloose, single, no job, and it was a vacation trip for me. We drove through Indiana all the way up to Oneonta, New York. Absolutely beautiful little town. And it was the height of fall color in Pennsylvania as we went through there. And in Oneonta, piles of leaves were high and deep and I could jump in them. And then we went to the Adirondacks and we saw colors that I didn't know existed. And I was reading Tolkien's trilogy at the time, and I thought I had arrived in Middle Earth. Those are some of my best memories of autumn. There, Elizabeth.
One's down. Who wants to try the last four remaining? One of the last four? Come on up. So we got 2 to 5. Number 5. Your favorite autumn tree. Your favorite tree. And talk about the coloring thereof.
I grew up in Texas, in a place that made Houston look like a jungle. The only trees where I grew up were Chinese elm trees, and they are not dynamic fall colors. So my most impressive tree experience in the fall came much later in life. I think I went to Livingston Manor, was there for the fall, and had sort of the experience that Art did, just sort of looking at all those red maples and going, whoa, that's what fall is. But later on, not so long ago, I went on a vacation to the Durango, Colorado area. It was the first week in October, and it's just a gorgeous time to go there. It gets up to the low 70s during the day, freezing at night. You walk out on the trails, and there are all these evergreens, of course, but the other thing is the aspens. Just everywhere you look, just gold. And you, you sort of feel like, I'm in some different state of consciousness. So that very much sticks with me. I haven't been back to Colorado since then, but I do intend to go back again and experience the aspens. They're something I'd like to see often.
All right, 3 to go. Anybody else ready to try?
Stephanie.
So we got 3, 4, and 2. 2, 3, 4.
2.
2. So when I think of season, it has sometimes 2 meanings. Tell me about a flavor of seasoning and cooking that you enjoy.
Toastmasters guests and viewers at home. Well, I'm glad that I got a little bit of a different flavour of the word season, because I grew up in Australia where we have seasons but they're not quite as pronounced because, well, I grew up in a semi-tropical area, and more recently I was living in the tropics where we don't have any seasons. Or the seasons are different in the different bushes that have different flowers at different times of year, but it's not like masses of golden colour. So in terms of flavours of seasoning, we have a giant spice collection, and I suppose there are lots of different flavours in that I could refer to. I'm just trying to think what would be my favourite. Probably the star aniseed. It's an interesting shape, and it's got a smell like a mixed spice all of its own. I think I like the shape of it and the fact that it imparts a kind of sweetness to the food, and I suppose it kind of goes with this season because it's a brownish colour. I don't know. The only thing is sometimes the hard bits, you've got to be careful when you're eating it because they just sit there and they don't really absorb into the food, and you can break your teeth on them. I mean, a good cook, I suppose, probably puts them in some cheesecloth or something and pulls them out, but I'm afraid I'm not that skilled. But so the star anise would be my favourite spice. And I think now it's getting colder, we need to all think about adding a bit more spice to our food so we can cope with the cold. So that's my tip for this autumn season.
Okay, do we have time for one more?
We have time for 10 more.
Oh my goodness. Okay, who next?
It doesn't have a roll.
All right, come on up, Cindy. Now we have 3 and 4.
One of the ones that you asked earlier about.
You want to pick one? I just think you can read them.
Number 1.
All right. Okay. A time in autumn that you enjoyed, a sweet, wonderful memory.
Okay, thank you. Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, and especially viewers at home. My favorite time in autumn. Well, my favorite time in spring. My parents had these 2 really ancient, beautiful sugar maple trees on the property. And I was always teasing when I was a young kid to tap them. Tap the trees and boil down the sap and make homemade maple syrup. And that eventually did come true, much to my mother's dismay. The house was all steamy and condensation was running down the cold windows in an early spring. But these same trees put on the most gorgeous display of red and vibrant golden yellow and orange. And sometimes the leaves would have, the veins would be shot through. The veins would be still green, but the whole rest of the leaf would be some other color if you caught them early enough in their change. And what I like to do with these autumn colors was pick them, and while the leaves were still nice and fresh and supple and limber, I would take 2 sheets of wax paper. Yes, Jean knows where I'm going with this. Take 2 sheets of wax paper and fire up my mother's iron and get out the ironing board and a cloth and make a collage of nature's colors and sandwich them between the wax paper and seal them with a hot iron and then hang them in the window, and they were absolutely stunning when the sun shone through. Madam Table Topics Master.
So if we have more time, Rhonda, you ready? Come on up, Rhonda. So now we have 3, 4, 6, and 7.
About 3.
Okay. So when you hear the phrase "frost on the pumpkin," what does it remind you of?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics. Well, the frost on the pumpkin brings to mind a lot of things. I think my mother was conceived when the frost was on the pumpkin, and a few other things like that. So I'm going to switch to number 1 because I have a nice experience I'd like to share with people regarding the autumn of our life, the time in life when we've shown our active power as an adult, and now we are realizing we're slowing down a little. There's some somatopause, or when the hormones tell our body to gentle down, ease back, bring the throttle back a little. And
what happens to our bodies in the autumn of our life. My first clue about that was actually on an autumn day during a retreat for the TM Cities program, some kind of meditation thing. And we would walk after lunch. We'd walk and talk, just relax and let the food digest. And we were walking through autumn leaves. And as we were walking, we were talking and sharing and very relaxed and deep in our blissful selves. And I kept seeing light above the leaves, about 6 inches above the leaf. There would be a white leaf floating in the air. And I didn't know till after I got back to my room that I'd had an experience of seeing something unusual. And I was quite excited by that, because it meant if the leaf could do that, our bodies can do that. So at my age, I feel like I'm starting to explore the mysteries of autumn, preparing myself for the mysteries of winter, and then passing to the good blue road of spirit once again. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share.
Yo!
All right, anyone else? Do we have time for a couple more?
John.
All right.
Yo, John!
All right, we have 3, 4, 6, and 7.
7.
7. Indian corn. What does that remind you of?
Indian corn. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. Indian corn. Indian corn, I just saw Indian corn at the farmer's market on Saturday morning. And we went there after the pancake breakfast this morning for Kiwanis on the square. They have a pancake breakfast for the kids, starts at 6 in the morning. And my wife and I every year go, and we used to bring the kids to it. So to me, that is the start in Fairfield of autumn, is the pancake breakfast. And they put the tent up, and we try and get there earlier every year. 6 o'clock is when they open. So this year, we vowed to be there at 6 in the morning. And every year, the Kiwanis Club comes by the company where I work and sells a book of tickets, and we always buy 10 tickets. And they've gone up from like $2 to $5 now per ticket over the last 20 years. But anyway, so we give the tickets out at work, and my wife take the last 2, and we go to pancake breakfast. And it was pancakes and sausage and coffee, and all the farmers are all up that early. Wonderful, and so we're all in that. And then we went to the farmer's market afterwards and saw Indian corn, and I was wondering if $1 was too much to pay for 3 ears of Indian corn. That was and I walked by that thing like 3 times, and I'm thinking of all the acres of corn that there are in Iowa around, and I didn't buy it, and I don't know why. But thank you very much.
All right, one more?
2 more.
2 more, okay. Who's up for it?
I know, I'm evaluating, so I'm busy, yeah.
Tom's coming up. Yay.
Scott
Go
wants to
ahead, do it.
Scott.
Oh, Scott will do it.
We have 4, and we have 6 and 7.
Dealer's choice.
Okay, let's go with 6. What season holds one of your favorite memories? So you can choose from the 4 seasons.
I love what you were saying earlier, thinking of autumn as the point of transition. I always think of that phrase, the autumn of our discontent, and the life transitions that we're going through. I'm not sure what season I would pick because I feel like we're always in transition. I was thinking about the corn you were suggesting the other day and seeing it at the farmer's market. And I was thinking how cool it would be to take that corn, to throw it on the ground and let the birds come, and to really allow ourselves to be present. For me, autumn is such a strange season. I think of Rod Stewart's song when he said, "It's late September and I really should be back at school." And for most of my life, I've been in school. I've been either in school or teaching, and I was reminded of that today as I was going through my papers. And for me, autumn is that point of transition where I'm reminded that I'm supposed to be back in school, back to being serious, back to that point of transformation for myself into trying to make myself into somebody that I could do something more with, that I can create my purpose in this life. Except, often I'm getting lost. Because we all get lost. And maybe what I should do is come back to what you were saying and take that corn, spend the $1, throw it on the ground, and play with the birds for a little bit. And remember that it's okay to be in transition. All
There's one that nobody spoke about, and I think it's one of your favorite colors. Orange reminds you of what and why.
Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored distinguished guests who haven't arrived just yet, and viewers at home. Autumn, orange colors. Before we moved to Fairfield, we were boating in the Finger Lakes of New York State, the wine country. It is probably the nicest season to be in upstate New York, in wine country, because the lakes are all glacial. They run north-south. They're wonderful for grapes because they fall off very quickly. We were boating out of Seneca Lake, which is 900 feet deep to the mud bottom, and there's 700 more feet of mud before you get to the rock. Never freezes. To boat in that environment, late fall, and by the way, it's the season with very few thunderstorms, very mild temperate. It's almost better than California because it's very warm and it's quiet days, wind hardly exists, and the nights are just cool enough. You might put a little fluffy on, campfire maybe, but just to go for a boat ride and all of these hills that go up from the lake, which are, some places are 1,000 feet high. You just see color, 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 and the wine and the people, and it's a time of really slowing down. And that's the part that really always spoke to me, was like, this is just so pretty. Why do we have to change? But sure as God made green apples, we had winter that happened about a week after we put the boat away. One year we got it away just in time. Madam Table Topics Master.
I guess that wraps it up for now. We'll take a minute. Oh, does everybody qualify?
Yes, all of our speakers qualified.
And the names? The names, please?
Yes, the names of the speakers are Art, Dan, Stephanie, Cindy, Rhonda, John, Scott, and Tom.
Take a moment to choose.
Oh, I just walked in front of the camera.
You're on.
All right, now it's my pleasure to bring up Diane Denville.
Madam James Denville.
Wow, that's a big job.
I have a big job. Good evening, everyone, Toastmasters, viewers at home. I'm going to come out front. I'm going to get right into this. Art Atkinson, very high energy this evening, in my opinion. You asked great questions that got completely engaged. You know, who didn't jump and leave? Stephanie, I know you missed out on that, but anyway, I'm sure you knew what it felt like. Just great visuals, gestures. My one recommendation for improvement would be to actually, when you were talking about jumping, you did a lot with your hands, but you could have jumped, perhaps, because your energy really was so up. Wrap up, just great autumn outfit. And thanks for the trip. We just went a lot of places with you in that talk. Dan Craig had the favorite autumn tree topic. I really felt, I don't know Texas, but it was dry. I mean, you made that clear. I was like parched. And then the aspens.
Yeah. That was great.
There was a great pause. So we went from dry Texas to the aspens. I would say, for a recommendation, you didn't greet us, my dear, but that's okay. And then the practice, you and I evaluate each other on this. They were gorgeous! And then the aspens. Stephanie Chambers, loved how you shared that you were glad you got the question that you did, which led into the use of a personal story. So we found out you're from Australia, even though I knew that, because I'm in on you and your life. And just, you know, choosing the spice you did and just flowing with that was great. I don't really have anything to say, just the way that you led us into that. I enjoyed that. I would say at this point my recommendation would be the Toastmaster tip of one sentence, stay with one person, then go to another person and finish the sentence, because there's a tendency for that I to flip around. And you wrapped it up beautifully. I have something here that I liked. I'm sorry, I can't even read my own writing. Cindy Travers, thank you. Favorite time in autumn, you did a segue. You brought in personal story. I love the condensation, so the use of gesture. Lots of color description. My recommendation for improvement was, I got confused in the middle because I thought, are you talking about spring or autumn? And you did both, but the beginning led me to believe it was a spring talk, and then all of a sudden you were doing those hanging things, which I loved how you brought Jean into it, because then she got excited and I got excited, so that was great use of, there's something exciting in this. So good job. Rhonda, you come up enthusiastic, the frost on the pumpkin. You have you use a lot of techniques in my opinion. Humor, and then you go into story, the use of telling a story, and I'm always left personally with, you know, wow, there's something to think about here. And really my compliment is, your talks are different. That was what I wrote down. My only room for improvement tonight was to greet us. Even if you come up and just say, hi Toastmasters, viewers at home. Doesn't matter if you do the guests and all that. John Loros had the topic of Indian corn. He just said, Indian corn, Indian corn. That's a great way to start table topics, to use up some minutes, seconds. And then you led into a personal story, and I really never knew. We're all from Fairfield, so you told a Fairfield-related story. Well, what does go on at 6 a.m. under those tents on Pancake Day? How much are tickets? So thank you for, you know, a lot of detail. You did spend, my one suggestion for improvement, I mean, you're new, you're fantastic, you already have this energy, right? It kind of captures you. You stayed here, maybe just make your way over here. But that will come. Because I had to really search for something for you. And I just loved food for thought. Why didn't I buy the dollar coin? I mean, really, why don't we buy things, and, you know, what's $1 and is it, and all that stuff. And then I brought it into life, you know, like whatever you said, it was great. You left me thinking. All right, I'm going to move. Tonight was really high energy, fantastic. Agreed?
Yeah, very.
Okay, Scott, the season, you had a big choice. Oh, again, you know, you used the use of question. You used other people's speeches, drew us in, down with the, what were you doing? The corn or something?
Feeding the bird.
Rod Stewart, everything. You really had quite, and then for the end, to, you know, move into about your ahas around autumn, spinning off Rhonda, transitions are okay, maybe I should be down, doing whatever you were doing with the corn, and I wrote down cool ending. The only thing you didn't do was greet us.
I know.
Tom, wrapping up with Tom, orange and Y. Isn't Tom just the master? Good evening, Toastmasters, guests when you come, viewers at home. That high voice, you know, you're just like, okay, we're going to listen to Tom. You said something about there are going to be 3 topics, so I said, okay, now 3 things, I can do that. Then that mud thing, Art laughed, so there was something to that with the mud, and then you're down in the rock. A lot of visuals. And then he went into the warm, cool, something, but great voice volume. My suggestion is you have so much presence you don't have to move, but you could. And then he ends, Madam Toastmaster. So he teaches us the range. And that's my report this evening. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home.
Thank you, Diana. That was a great job. It's also challenging to evaluate in 3 minutes for all table topic speaker to listen, to think, and give a improvement, suggestions. Hope everyone learned and got something from her. Now we are going to move another portion of the meeting, which is prepared speech. Please help me to welcome Jean Hamilton Craig. She will be reading objective for Marlene Braber.
Yes.
Just want to say, this is the manual that Marilyn's going to be working from. I did ask her what decade this came from.
Somewhere in the O's.
But in Toastmasters, you can work at whatever speed you like. And if you don't like a particular manual, you get stuck, you can go to a different one and always come back.
I got one such right here.
The credit will still be fine. Marilyn is going to be doing project number 5 from Communicating on Television. They have television on this manual? Must have.
That was back when TV was analog.
Her objectives are to learn how to develop and present an effective training program on television, to receive personal feedback through the videotaping of her presentation. We will be videotaping this. The project, on reading it, is a little bit different than the way Marilyn is going to be doing it. So we're basically going to be having Marilyn doing a training for television on a topic of her choice, and that's what we're going to evaluate tonight. Marilyn has been played a number of different roles with this club. Marilyn, how long have you been a member here?
Forever.
Not as long as Tom. About 8 years.
About 8 years. She's also been the area governor and also an assistant area governor, is that correct? Both of those.
President here.
President at Golden Speakers, and she's a regular volunteer going down to the prison clubs in Fort Madison. So quite a diversity of background with Toastmasters. I'd like you to help me warmly welcome Marilyn Graber. Her topic is A Balanced Life.
Welcome to Toastmasters TV. I'm glad you joined me tonight. We can tell it's autumn because we don't know whether to turn on the heat or the air conditioning. I drove over here with the air conditioning on, and now the heat is on. Welcome again to Toastmasters TV. I'm going to be talking tonight about the balanced life. So what is a balanced life? Is it flexibility or strength or freedom or some combination of those? I think it's different for every person, what a balanced life really means to them. Now this is autumn, and September, every autumn, is National Anti-Aging, Healthy Anti-Aging Month. Every year, we celebrate that. And last autumn, late autumn, getting a lot of points tonight, 11/11/11, I can't forget that date, I was introduced to a company. And why I got interested in it was because they were doing a lot of research on anti-aging and anti-aging products. Now, quite apart from this, I went and had my labs done for my annual exam in October. And my blood glucose levels were quite high. It was 153. And my doctor said, okay, we'll wait 3 months before we start any kind of medications. So I went back in February, had the labs done again, and they had plummeted to 71. My doctor said, how did you do that? I said, I don't know. And then I thought, and I had never connected them before, but I had started these products, and the company is Isagenix. I had started these products in December, and I had not for 1 minute connected them because I thought they were more about anti-aging and weight loss and cleansing and so forth. But it was about balancing. And actually, Isagenix means, in Latin, it means a balanced life. And that can mean a lot of different ways in which we balance our life and our bodies. By the way, my blood glucose levels have remained very level ever since then, in very normal ranges. So we'll talk about some of the benefits because there's a limited time. We won't talk much about features, but it's a cleansing program. And cleansing has been around for thousands and thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians, the ancient Essenes did cleansing programs and systems with their fasting and their enemas. So this is nothing new. It's been around for centuries. Now, I worked 3 years teaching at Optimum Health Institute of San Diego, and there the cleansing is geared towards raw foods and raw juices. And that's a wonderful way to cleanse. Sometimes it's a little difficult to keep on raw foods, though. Isagenix cleansing is infusing the body's cells with such high nutrition that it helps to dislodge the toxins. And our toxins now are far more prevalent than 2,000 years ago, right? Our environment, our water, our air pollution, our politics, our anxiety, our stress levels, everything. These are toxins that get lodged in our bodies somehow. So isogenics really looks at cellular cleansing. Cellular cleansing, not bowel cleansing, but cellular cleansing. So really going into the cells, getting out the toxins, and replenishing the body with optimum health. Other ways, other benefits. Naturally, it's a no-brainer that when you take out the toxins, you're going to lose some weight. We have a 100-pound club, a 200-pound club, and a 300-pound club. You can join whichever one you want. And they're gaining some success at losing weight. This is an epidemic in this country, obesity. You trim inches from your body and you build lean muscle mass. So these are just some of the ways that you can balance out your body. And also people have even reported that they've had some resolution of some heart issues. But these are just reports that I've heard. One feature I do want to mention is that the whey that they use in some of the products is from New Zealand because they don't shoot up their cows with hormones or antibiotics over there. Bless the New Zealanders.
Yay!
So it's a very pure whey, and several of our products have it. Also, we have live enzymes in some of the products. So for example, the shake has live enzymes, and you're supposed to drink it within 20 minutes of introducing liquid to it. Which brings up another point. The company wants people to get product as fresh as possible, so UPS delivers it to their door. You don't stockpile a lot of product. They want it as fresh as possible. Just a bit about the compensation plan. Looks simple. You're here. You get one person on your left, one person on your right. And you teach them to get one person on their left, one person on their right, one person on their left, one person on their right. Sounds simple, right? If you can do that, you are off and running in this business, let me tell you. Most people get maybe one person on their left and maybe one person on their left and right. And they kind of stop at that point. I get this question all the time, oh, this is a pyramid. It's not a pyramid. It's legitimate. It is a legitimate business that is governed by the Direct Selling Board of the United States. Pyramids are illegal. This takes a lot of work. I think people think it's a rich, quick scheme, and so they don't do anything. But it takes a lot of work. You need all of your Toastmasters skills, communication. You need to connect with people. You need to pick up the phone and talk. And you need to teach. That is the secret of this business, network marketing. You need to teach, teach, teach. Teach your people. You would be a great network marketer because you're a teacher. All the teachers in here would be great network marketers. You need to teach your people how to build their business. You need to be patient. You need to be sincere. You need to be kind. You need to answer a lot of questions. You need to have an attitude of service. I think that's the main thing, have an attitude of service. So this is the compensation plan. Isogenics, living life joyfully. Here's my website, my email, my phone. Call me, email me. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to connect with you. The mission of this company is to impact world health in a very positive way. That is the mission. And we are doing that. We're in 7 countries now. Oh, we're 10 years old. We just had our 10-year celebration. The company is producing cutting-edge products that are really making a difference in people's lives. And I just invite you to check it out. Check out my website. Look at some of the videos. So everyone, live happily, live a balanced life, and be joyful. And join me in the next episode of this program.
Yay!
Thank you, everyone. Please take a 2 minutes to evaluate our speaker. Welcome back. Please help me to welcome our next evaluator, Tom Trainer, to read objectives per Donald Perry. Tom Trainer.
Yes, Jeff. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests who didn't show up tonight, viewers at home. Dave Tossing is doing speech number 2 from the Basic Competent Communicator Manual. Project number 2 is Organize Your Speech. The title of the speech is Hello and Other Salutations from Nirvana. Now the objectives of the speech is select an appropriate outline which allows listeners to easily follow and understand your speech. I think this time could really follow this whole thing about Nirvana. That'd be great. Make your message clear with supporting material directly contributing to that message. Even if it's personal, it contributes. Use appropriate transitions when moving from one idea to another. Create a strong opening and conclusion. Please help me warmly welcome Dave Tossing, speech number 2. Welcome back to Fairfield.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. It's nice to be here again. My second speech. My own little timer because I was worried about that last time. So, here we go. I invite you to come as you are. Come as you were. Come as I want you to be. As a friend, as an old enemy. Take your time. Hurry up. It's your choice. Don't be late. Take a rest as a friend, as an old memory. These are words from a band called Nirvana, and a poet of the last decade of the 20th century, Kurt Cobain, who had a unique talent for seeing the value inside of words. And before I go into more of the inside value of the words that he saw, you might want to define Nirvana, because it's generally thought as a state of Buddhism where you reach that state of compassion and joy with an unattached demeanor of knowing yourself. And it's composed of a Sanskrit word, nirvanam, and that has 2 components. Nir, which means negation, away, and vati, which is to blow away. It's a verb. And so in the whole of the word it means to blow away, referring to ego. And if you are able to blow away your ego, you'll be compassionate, happy, and joyful. So some Buddha guy says, but Kurt Cobain says these words, and I'm saying these, I should have an empty chair up here because I don't want to be pointing at everyone, and I like when Clint Eastwood, so. Goes, hell, oh, hell, oh, hell, oh, how low, hell, oh, hell, oh, hell, oh, how low, hell, oh, hell, oh, hell, oh, how low. How do we greet people in the United States? What vibrational frequency do we bring into the beginning of any relationship that we have? Or what's relationship? Relay what? Information, where? From one ship to another ship passing in the night. What information do we relate? Hell? Well, we could say different things. We could say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Even the other most common word, hai, is actually a Japanese word, wishing death to the person you say it to. So, if we think about the vibrational frequency that we're putting out in just the very common initial contact that we make with someone, and we put ourselves towards maybe good, and wishing, you know, there's all kinds of other things that we can say, but we're just staying with the good and the hell in this little speech, because when you get to the vibrational frequencies and what's called in Sanskrit the jagat, the entire creation moving, and the sound that the movement makes, and each frequency has a certain vibrational quality to that. In my opening icebreaker, I said everyone is well to have a spiritual name, because if you have a vibration that is at a frequency that you know is beneficial for your evolution, then it might be better than something that someone that didn't know that information gave you, and that as you walk around the world, everyone says, well, we don't want to call anyone names, but you get the idea. Basically, the point that I wanted to conclude with was that we always have a choice of what we can say, and we can say anything, but we can never, ever take back what we say. Once you've said it, you have said it. You can apologize, but you cannot remove that. So, I feel in my heart, I would rather wish someone a good day. Australia. Good day, mate. And good night, all.
Thank you, Devata. Please take a 2 minutes to evaluate our speaker. Welcome back. Also, you can vote for your best speaker. Are both speakers qualified?
Yes, both Marilyn and Dave have both qualified.
Thank you. Now we are going to move into evaluation section. Please help me to welcome our general evaluator, Cindy Trainer. Yay!
This is the time that we are going to spend on focusing on our speakers and also our role players. Right now, the reason for the general evaluation section is to show our speakers, tell our speakers what they did well, where they could improve, and what you liked best about their talks. To begin this, I'd like to invite Jean Symington Craig to come up and give her evaluation of Marilyn Graver's speech.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests that are hovering outside the door, and viewers at home, and particularly Marilyn. A balanced life. I'm going to read the objectives and the comments here in the manual and make comments for that, if that's all right. What were the objectives of the training program? How effectively did the speaker fulfill the objectives? I felt the objective was pretty much to present an overview of a particular company. And by the way, in Toastmasters, if you have a professional communication goal that you're using for your own job or your own pursuit, then that's completely fine to use Toastmasters to practice a speech or work on those things. So Marilyn has an interest in this, and she was giving us an overview of the particular company. I thought she did a good job. She pointed out benefits, mechanics of interaction in the body, the compensation, a skill set for an individual for success, and how to take a look at the end if you would like to learn more. So very, very thorough. How is the training program directed towards the needs of the audience? Well, we're all aging, for one thing, so I think we're all interested in the anti-aging parts, and of course most of us here are interested in health and vitality, so I thought there was a good common thread there. Was the training program organized clearly and logically? Was the audience given the information necessary to accomplish what the speaker wanted done? And I think the whole overview of that is that the information that Marilyn gave was to generate interest in this company and what it's doing, and then also to give the audience the information on how to learn more and follow up. So I thought that was well laid out. Comment on the speaker's voice, gestures, and facial expressions. The interesting thing about television work is, contrary to all the vocal variety and the physical gestures that we learn and all of that, we're not doing that for TV. We're actually toning it down because we're just, it's really the relationship with the camera. I felt that Marilyn was moderate, and that's in a good way, not overpowering. Not doing a lot of extraneous kinds of things that would make it difficult for the camera to follow. Did the speaker appear relaxed, confident, and poised? How well did the speaker relate to the television camera? What, if any, distracting mannerisms did the speaker display? This is where I'd say there might be a little room for improvement. Particularly, again, this is a television project, so the relationship with the camera is really important. So the eye contact, I felt, was a little bit off and about, and if I were looking from the camera side, I might have thought a little bit less of the credibility because the eyes were not really focused in and talking to that audience that's right there in that camera. Okay. But in terms of what I liked, I thought she was relaxed, poised, And I really liked the graphics that she had, a lot of variety, some interesting ways of putting that out, and I know that takes time to put together. So I enjoyed your talk.
Our next speaker this evening was Dave Ta Singh, and here to evaluate his talk is Tom Trainer.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, but most especially Dave Ta. Same. This is the second time. He joined us originally a few eons ago, gave us a most powerful icebreaker I've ever heard, and then he took some time to pull his life back together. And we see it now. He came in here, his icebreaker the second time was great, second speech great. Some of the things I observed, the speech value from the book, excellent. In this town, great attention getter is to talk about nirvana or enlightenment or whatever term you want to use. Everybody's paying attention. And hello from nirvana. I love that. It's great, great, great. Hello and salutations. Preparation. Excellent. Now, why can I say that? He's had a lifetime of preparation to talk about what he's talking about. This is personal story, personal experience, personal sharing of what he has learned on this lifetime, so he can come here and share, sharing himself. Organization. One of the things we talk about in Toastmasters is tell us what you're going to tell us, and then tell us and show us, and then tell us what you told us. I think you could have done a little bit better of that in terms of tying all the pieces together. You could have been a little more emphatic with where you were going with it. The opening. Now, you missed a golden opportunity. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but he's wearing a t-shirt. Did you see what it said on the t-shirt? Did he point it out what he was wearing? No. You had the most perfect prop. Yet you've got this shirt that says Nirvana. You don't point it out. You don't tell us about it. And
I don't want you to get in trouble. You see what it is?
Yeah, that wouldn't appear on TV. It's too small. Anyway, just a way to improve it. Okay, the body. You had above average for your experience level. I liked the neat use of words. Your conclusion. I also think it was above average, but here's what I would suggest. Start setting up the conclusion earlier. When you're giving us the body, give us little hints of where you're going with this. That's about the whole tell us what you're going to tell us, and then tell us. Start us into this conclusion so when we get there, we're already warmed up to it. You don't have to bring us into it. Transitions, you moved along really nicely. I think they were above average. What I could have done differently, again, link the conclusion in sooner. Start setting up your conclusion so that everything you're doing brings it up as a wrap. And what I really loved was use and showing of words broken down. Hell? Oh. Power of words. That could have been the title to this also. Madam General Evaluator, you're on.
Thank you, Tom. Now let's vote for our evaluators, best evaluators. And Will, did everyone qualify?
Yes. Diane, Jean, and Tom all qualified.
Okay, great. So let's vote for one of those three.
Good timer.
It's Nirvana time.
I think the people talking about it is not proportional to the number of people that spoke.
Vote early. All right, back again while ballots are being collected. Let's go see how our timer report is. Let's go talk to our role players, and please let's hear from Will to see how the timing laid out this evening.
Thank you. So for table topics, we had Art 211, Dan 129, Stephanie 145, Cindy 216, Rhonda 155, and our final three, John was at 146, Scott at 151, and Tom at 152. The evaluators, Diane was at 702, Jean was at 320, and Tom, the evaluator, was at 316. For our speakers, Marilyn was at 10 minutes, and Devta was at 6:53. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Now let's hear a 1-minute report from Jesus, our all-counter this evening.
Begin with a timer. 3 souls. Mangal, 1 arm, 1 A. Arthur Atkinson, Beer Rhodes, Stephanie, Cindy, Rhonda, Scott, Tom, Clean Slate, Jean Symington, 1A. Take back Rhonda. Rhonda, you have 1 arm and 1 soul. It was just too close. I had to squeeze these things together.
Rodna.
My apologies. Then we have John Loros, 1 arm, 4 A, 1 R, 4 hands, 4 souls, and 1 butt. Diane, 1 arm. Marlene, 1 A, 2 souls. And Data Singh, 4 arms, 1 hand, and 3 souls, and 1 lip click. That's my report for the evening.
Let's hear a report from our grammarian.
Grammarian.
Yay!
Thank you. People who use the word of the day: Mongol, once; Vera, once; art, creative, use of language, jumping into a pile of leaves; fancy, footloose, and single; Dan, where I grew up in Texas, made Houston look like a jungle; Stephanie, use of the day, the word of the day; Cindy used the word of the day twice; and also gorgeous display of red, orange, vibrant display of colors. Very colorful use of language. Rhonda, 5 times she used the word of the day.
Wow.
Also creative use of language, the autumn of our life. Good blue road of spirit. John, there he is, he's moving. Was $1 too much to pay for 3 years of Indian? Scott used the word of the day 4 times. Also creative language, the autumn of our discontent. It's late September and I should be back in school. Tom used the word of the day once. Also creative language, Finger Lakes of New York. Marilyn also used the word of the day 5 times, her and Rhonda tied. I didn't quite get everything that you said, but about infusing the body cells with and then cleansing the toxins. The toxins was all put together, quite lovely. Also, attitude of service. David, the poem that you read was too long for me to write it all down, but that was quite lovely. Good day, mate. Good night, all. Right.
Hey, what's next? Do we have a joke master among us? Art Atkinson.
Hey, Toastmasters, I plugged into a real deep well from a good Jewish friend of some great stuff. How does Moses make his tea? He brews it. Ah! He brews it. Ah! So I stayed up all night doing a theatrical performance about puns. It was a play on words. Didn't like my beard at first, then it grew on me. Jokes about German sausage, they're the worst. And here's the best one. Did you hear about the cross-eyed teacher who lost her job because she couldn't control her pupils? What do you call a dinosaur who's got a large vocabulary? A thesaurus. No!
Thank you for all the punny jokes. Okay, now it says 4 minutes generally evaluator comments. Put on my thinking hat and sprinkle my head liberally with autumn leaves. This is what I had to say. Jesus, I liked your inclusion of tongue clicks in there, and you got somebody tonight too. Darlene, you picked a great and easy to use word, as evidenced by how many people said it, and then we had a tie here with 4 or 5 times. Vera, you really kept on the theme and you asked good questions. I saw you writing furiously, but perhaps maybe the last moment is an inspiration for creative thinking. And the questions you asked really allowed people to share their personal stories. And that really came across tonight with warmth, and I felt the warmth and the humor that came out of your questions, so thank you very much. Diane, as table topics evaluator, you made good recommendations for everyone. I believe you recommended at least one thing for each of our table topic speakers to work on and think about. I like the one where you said, talk to somebody and deliver a sentence to one person and then go on to the next. I know I'm guilty of that too. I kind of scan the audience like I don't know what, a scanner or something. What happens then is that I don't really get a chance to focus on people. And I think they feel that. So that's a great recommendation. And a lot of times you kind of use the Oreo cookie method where you'd say something good about somebody's speech and then a recommendation and then wrap it up with something else good at the end. Sometimes I was hearing the recommendation be the last thing that you said to them. So you may not have left someone always with that warm, fuzzy Toastmaster feeling. But you weren't harsh, you weren't out here going, nah, nah, nah. You weren't doing any of that. So I don't think anybody is going to walk out of here saying, oh, I'm never coming back there again. Jean, when you introduced Marilyn Graber for her speech, I liked your use of humor. And basically that kind of set the stage and possibly even warmed up Marilyn's audience. You read the objectives, reread the objectives when you came back up to do her evaluation, and I liked that because that refreshed in my mind what Marilyn's speech was to be about. And I liked your humor. We're all aging for one thing. I like that very much. And you follow the manual, which is really important because then nothing gets missed. In your demonstration on how your gestures for moderation for being on television, none of this wild stuff, but moderated for TV. direct, looking at the camera, keeping gestures in close. One thing I discovered, I saw myself on video, it made me look 10 pounds heavier. Can you imagine what wild gestures look like on TV? They're even more exaggerated. So keeping gestures close to the body, like you demonstrated, was good. Marilyn wasn't doing wild and crazy stuff up here though. But that's just to reiterate what Marilyn did well. And of course Tom. Tom talked from the manual. Tom gets boisterously talking from the manual. He gets excited about it. You acknowledge Dave Tussing's personal stories. A lot of good speeches. That is really the gist of a good speech. One of them, anyway, is a personal story. You mentioned the highlights of his talk, and you gave 2 recommendations. Both good ones. I couldn't think of anything else, but that's usually what happens. I don't think of anything else. Time for me to close my mouth and go on with the rest of the meeting. So please warmly welcome our Toastmaster, Mangal Tamak.
Thank you, Cindy. Now we are going to present awards for the winner for this evening, and like to invite President, and you will be receiving award from President tonight. I'll go read the name quickly, and President will be awarding your award here. All right, I need a help to drum roll here. Best table topic is Scott. Next, best evaluator. And best speaker. Devata. What's up? Best speaker, Devata.
We'll get to number 2 ribbon.
And also, for Devata, we have the speaker number 2.
Like this.
Thank you, Mangal, for keeping us awake here. Now we're trying to a close here. First, I'm going to call up Ron Kerr, who has a few words for us about the coming meeting.
Thank you, Mr. President. As contest chair, it's time. Next week is our contest. We'll want to start showing up at 7 o'clock. Chief Judge will be meeting and training will start right about 7:10. We want to be ready for that if you have roles. I'd like everybody to be in at 7:30. We want to invite guests. It's a good time to showcase. It's a lot of fun. And like we've been indicating, it's a little different protocol. It's a little stricter kind of a thing, a little more formal. So it's kind of fun. Yes?
So the guests come at 7:25 or something?
7:25, that'd be fine.
Okay, great.
So being friends and guests, I'm going to go over it. We do have some roles that are open. First, at this point, will be at this point, I haven't seen Chris lately. He was going to do both.
What do you mean by both?
We have evaluation. This contest is an evaluation contest. We'll have Diane will she'll be the target speech, and we'll have the evaluators who want to participate for that. And right now, Chris Mangal, are you still on board for Mangal for evaluation? No? So we just have Chris and Tom at this point, Tom Trainer. So a new one is you're welcome to be, it's a chance to sharpen up your evaluation skills. Then also, let's go to the speeches. Vera, we're still on board, right? You're going to give her a speech
What time? Up, we have a volunteer.
for evaluation? All right, there you go. I see you're sort of sticky with a stick there. Hey, you.
Wow. He didn't know he could be in both.
I think she
there you
with
go.
her pen.
Thank you for that. And Rahul is not here, but we'll have to be in touch, and I'll send out this email to everybody. The judges, right now we have Will, Cindy, Marilyn, and Diane. And if someone else would like to, you have to have at least, be a little more long, we need at least 6 speakers.
I'll do the others. I'll do the speech contest if you don't get any more. I'll be a judge in the speech.
A judge and a speech, okay.
In the speech contest.
In the speech contest, I can be a judge.
In humorous speech.
Okay.
So you still need one more.
All right, good. Do we have to have 5? Oh, we have to have 5, okay.
Or as close as you can get, but with the size of our club, 5 is not as reachable, easy.
Uh-huh. Could have maybe some transfer overs that are experienced speakers. Not that we'd like pinpoint anybody.
You can't, I'd love to.
Oh, that's right, you already mentioned you have to be out, yes.
Yeah, it'll be a Thursday.
Coming up. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's be, keep vigilant. If you see any other members, remind them. I'm going to get onto the email as well, and I'm sure it'll show up. It'll work out for us. Target speech, ballot counters, pretty straightforward, but, all right, John.
Who's ever here?
And here's a question for you. Darlene is a timer. Thank you for that, Darlene. We need an assistant timer as well. Someone to sit with her and kind of double check. Oh, no. Great, thank you. Refreshments, last parting thought here. We are going to do the area contest. The next level of competition will be here also a couple of weeks later. And that for sure we would like to, because we'll have people coming for our entire district here. So we want to have everybody, or I should say area, then we want it to be a nice spread and really be hospitable that way. And it'll also be another larger event to invite friends to. So if we're up for doing refreshments, we definitely want to do one big one for sure in a couple of weeks. Do we really want to,
Do it once right.
Do it once right? All right, so keep your, yes, I want to refresh in the back of your mind. Keep it lively, and we'll do that for the area contest, okay? We'll keep this one pretty
Which is
straightforward.
when on the...
Let's see.
Next Tuesday.
Next page.
October
2 weeks.
9th. October 9th, 2 weeks. Tuesday, October 9th.
Okay, October 9th, and also we will need role players for that also, although we'll have role players coming elsewhere. Dan is the contest chair for that event. Will is going to be the chief judge. I'm going to be a judge, and we can also start thinking about being a role player for them, maybe being for that one. Okay, I think that's going to do it. So I'll turn it back over. Mr. President.
Go.
Thank you, Ron. And with that, I will bid you all a wonderful evening. Please stick around for a few minutes and just help pick up. And with that, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.